Yeah, I'm not joking with this one. Why I Want is back, and we're talking about a guy whose name stands out. It really does. We spoke a few weeks ago about Jack Hughes, Kent Hughes' son, playing for the Northeastern University Huskies, and a player who happens to share the same name as one of the young rising stars in the National Hockey League. Well, today's episode of Why I Want is going over a player who kind of exhibits the exact same trait, except he's not a player in the NCAA playing for Northeastern. He's not an American. Instead, this guy is a Swede. Let's go over to the Örebro Hockey Club in the SHL and go over a name who, you know, it's kind of weird that this is happening in the same year as Jack Hughes, but today we're talking about Elias Pettersson. That's right. Elias Pettersson is a 2022 NHL draft eligible prospect who was born in 2004. He shares the same name with Vancouver Canucks superstar Elias Pettersson, and it's kind of funny to see just the overall reaction to just the fact that there is another player like this. Elias Pettersson recently suited up for Team Sweden at the World Under-18s, and that's where a lot of people on my radar were kind of like, wait a minute, there's another guy who's got the same name as the Vancouver Canucks Super Swede. And yeah, he's been here for a while. He has been a prospect the entire year. There is very little information about this guy available online, so in order to actually get the full gist of what Elias Pettersson in 2022 is about, you kind of have to watch the Örebro games, which I unfortunately have not done too much of. Instead, we're going over onto future considerations. We're going over onto Canucks Army because there are like 2 articles written about this guy at all. So it's going to be tough to find a lot of resources discussing who this player is and how he plays as a prospect. But let's go over the scouting report and try to figure it out anyway. Elias Pettersson, as we said, born in 2004, is a 6'2", 185 left-handed defenseman who is signed until 2025, oddly enough. Now, I get it. It's kind of funny because when you look at the Elias Pettersson in Vancouver and you see just how exactly his profile is, I mean, he's 6'2", 176. So already the new Elias Pettersson is pretty much in the exact same boat physically as the Vancouver Canucks Elias Pettersson is. But Elias Pettersson in 2022 is ranked 58th overall by Elite Prospects, 83rd by Craig Button, and he's the 37th NHL Central Scouting player for European skaters. Those are the only 3 outlets that have him ranked. And it's kind of funny because all the other guys, I mean, Neutral Zone, Smart Scouting, Draft Prospects, they don't have this guy ranked at all. However, as we have seen, the ones that do have him ranked in a position of being, let's say, a late second, early third, maybe just a mid-third round pick. Let's just say third round pick-ish, which certainly is not bad, especially when you ask the question, is this guy going to get drafted at all? This isn't really the same situation as like the Wahlgren twins from a few years ago, where they're only really being touted because of their names. Nah, Elias Pettersson is a player that actually has himself a scouting profile that bodes being drafted. If we go over to what he did in 2021-2022, he played for a whole bunch of teams. He played for the Örebro Hockey Club in the J18 region. He played for the same hockey club in the J18 National. He played for the Örebro Hockey Club in the J20 National, and he also played for Örebro Hockey Club in the regular SHL. He played for Team Sweden at the U18s, and he also played for Team Sweden at the Hlinka Gretzky Cup. Elias Pettersson produced pretty well playing for the J20 National team, getting 18 points in 37 games, which is not bad, but what really stood out to me was the fact that he had 10 points in 6 games in the postseason. This guy just took an extended gear up, and I guess you could say that a lot of that has to do with the fact that he actually did play SHL games. He had 1 assist in 17 games, which isn't, you know, super amazing, but it's not bad either. The fact that you are playing in the SHL in general is a good sign for anybody who is under the age of 19. So for Elias Pettersson to get that development time in Sweden's top pro league is a good thing, and he likely used that experience to help him out in the Örebro J20 playoffs, where he absolutely went out there and smoked the competition. When it comes to how Elias Pettersson plays, let's go over onto future considerations because they have one scouting report on this guy available for a game. This was published by Frederick Hawk. Pettersson is an all-around blue liner with well-developed skating abilities that is useful in all kinds of situations in a game. He maintains speed when transporting the puck over all three zones. He keeps his head up and knows what is happening in his surroundings. Pettersson often makes it difficult for forwards to get through, and he uses his body, arms, and stick to keep them on the outside to avoid, and then it says sign it to unlock the full report, so we're not going to read past that because I don't want to share information that is being held behind a paywall. But Elias Pettersson, being the guy that he is, I mean, that's not a bad scouting report. Being an all-around blue liner that has skills to move the puck in all three zones and play pretty alright defensively as well is certainly not a bad thing. And if we go over to Canucks Army, my buddy Chris Faber, very good friend of mine, went out there and wrote a piece talking about how the Vancouver Canucks can draft another Elias Pettersson in this year's NHL draft. Now, I have to really go out there and thank Chris because this is like the only in-depth look at Elias Pettersson that is available online, like Smart Scouting, all the other ones, they don't have anything on this guy. But alas, Faber did indeed do his research and watch some of the tape of Elias Pettersson, so this is what he had to say. At the time of publishing this article, Pettersson had been on the ice for 3 goals for and no goals against in his 29:43 of SHL ice time. Pettersson was without a point in his SHL time, but has shown offensive upside in his time in the Swedish junior leagues. He can jump into the play and bring offense when the situation presents itself. It became very obvious that the best asset in his skill set was his shot. Pettersson was able to fire accurate shots while in motion, which makes it difficult for goaltenders to lock in an angle because of his movement during the shot. He had been a big contributor on the back end for Sweden's U18 team, and he had a dagger goal against the USA the past August in the Hlinka Gretzky tournament. This is where he took the puck at the blue line and he absolutely gripped it and ripped it, somewhat like another Elias Pettersson. Pettersson shows offensive potential with his ability to beat goaltenders from distance and moves pretty well for a bigger defenseman. He's pretty average with his physicality, and he does engage on the boards more in his SHL play than we saw in his time in junior. And so, if you take a look at Elias Pettersson, I mean, this is really a player that exhibits so many positive skills to the point where I would be surprised if he did not get drafted during the NHL draft at least sometime in the 3rd, 4th, or 5th round. This guy has the benefit of playing on a grand stage for Team Sweden. He's had a few bronze medals assigned to his name over the past few months here. So it's not really like Elias Pettersson's name hasn't circulated around there, it's just NHL draft people seem to have not really come around on this guy to the point where there isn't really all too much you can find available online to really assess his game. Probably the biggest thing, though, that I think could hold him back from being drafted higher than he could be is this article right here on Örebro's actual website. Elias Pettersson will stay until 2025. This was published 2 months ago. I translated this article from Swedish into English. Elias Pettersson has signed a rookie contract that extends over the 24-25 season. 18-year-old Elias Pettersson this year has shown his front feet in the SHL. Elias has been listed for 16 games on the A team, and he has now passed 100 minutes played. Elias will be the 4th junior to sign his rookie contract with Örebro this season. The new agreement extends over 24-25. We have a strong junior business, and it feels fantastic that Elias will now be the 4th player this season with whom we sign a contract. Elias has really taken care of himself during the year and has been involved and made a difference. He's a promising defenseman with strong skating and a good sense of play. It will be very exciting to follow Elias's journey in Örebro, says Örebro Hockey sports manager Nicholas Johansson. Of course, it feels great fun, and it is a dream come true to sign my first contract with Örebro. It has been a developing season for me, and now I look forward to continuing to develop to take the next step, says EP4. Actually, no, not EP40. Let's say EP22, because that's a little bit more fun to say, is it not? So, talk to me in the comments all your thoughts about Elias Pettersson. If you were to ask me, just based off of what I've seen, the limited tape that I've seen, and the reports and the projection and the numbers and all that, I feel like Elias Pettersson could probably become somewhat of a serviceable NHL defenseman if you really drafted this guy and developed him properly. Like, the fundamental skills are there. He can score points at lower levels of play, he can score goals, he can play well physically off the puck, and he can read the play well enough to the point that he actually is ranked pretty high amongst the outlets that have him ranked. It's just, where is this guy going to go? I have no idea. When is this guy going to come over to the NHL? I have no idea. If you're drafting this guy in the 2022 draft and he's signed with Örebro until 2025, I mean, that's 3 years you're going to have to wait before this guy even steps foot, let's say in the AHL or anywhere else. if you're willing to wait 3 years before you even have a direct hand in his development, I don't really know how confident NHL teams are going to be in that type of development path, so I wouldn't blame you if you said that that aspect of his profile was strong enough or important enough to drop him a few spots in the draft board. But either way, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about Elias Pettersson, a 2022 draft-eligible prospect, and where he could go. Do you want your team to draft this guy? Do you not? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this British Trolls 99. And bye.